Warm welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We begin with Russia's invasion of Ukraine and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who has said that it would be dangerous to underestimate China and President Vladimir Putin's ambitions for the war in Ukraine. Mr. Stoltenberg also spoke of the need to invest in security, as well as making sure trade with China did not undermine countries' security. Meanwhile, the Russian-installed head of the Moscow-controlled part of Ukraine's Donetsk region released footage today showing officials visiting men in hospital said to be soldiers wounded in Ukraine's deadly attack on a temporary barracks in Makivka. Video from Denis Pushlin's Telegram channel showed him accompanying Russian Deputy Defense Minister Viktor Gremkin and Governor of Russia's Samara region in hospitals said to be in Russia's southern Rostov region. Russia's defense ministry said yesterday that 89 servicemen were killed in the Ukrainian attack on Makivka, adding the main reason for the attack was unauthorized use of mobile phones by the troops. Many of the troops are thought to have been conscripts from the Samara region. The founder of Russia's most powerful mercenary group bade farewell in a footage released today to former convicts who had served out their contracts in Ukraine and urged them to avoid the temptation to kill when back in civilian life. Wagner Group, originally staffed by battle-hardened veterans of the Russian armed forces, has fought in Libya, Syria, the Central African Republic, and Mali, as well as in Ukraine. After President Vladimir Putin sent troops into Ukraine February 24, Yevgeny Prigozhin emerged from the shadows and recruited thousands of men from prisons, offering them the chance of freedom in return for serving in some of the most dangerous battles in Ukraine. Prigozhin, who has been sanctioned by Western countries for his role in Wagner, was shown in the footage supplied by RIA state news agency, shaking hands with the first group of convicts who had gained their freedom after serving for 6 months. The former prisoners, some dressed in black and waving their heavily tattooed hands, were flown out of an undisclosed location that the IRA said was in Russia's southern Krasnodar region. Well, today, President Vladimir Putin says he is open to talks with Ukraine if Kyiv accepts territorial losses to Russia in the east and south. According to the Kremlin, this was confirmed to Turkish president during a telephone conversation between the pair that Russia was open to serious dialogue. However, he said this was contingent on Ukraine fulfilling the well-known and repeatedly voiced requirement of taking into account the new territorial realities. But how is Ukraine responding to this latest statement by Mr. Putin? VOA's Anna Chernikova joins me now for more from Kyiv. Hi, Anna. Seems to be the same requirements by Russia. Has Kyiv responded?
Well, we don't have yet an official response. I guess we should wait for a little bit longer. Later in the evening, President Zelensky might mention something in his everyday speech in the evening. But anyways, we can definitely say that these requirements, as you correctly said, are not changing from Russia. And I think that reaction from Kyiv would also not be different from everything that both President Zelensky and also Ukrainian military officials and other officials mentioned in their reactions to this previous proposals from Russia, that this is not something that Ukraine is willing to accept. So I have a feeling that reaction would be kind of similar because, again, both President Zelensky and also Ukrainian Minister of Defense, Ukrainian head of intelligence, Minister of Foreign Affairs, all them are saying this, basically sending the same message and saying the same thing, that Ukraine victory would be the return to 1991 borders, which were confirmed on the international level by the international community. So I have a feeling that these again, this proposal or this remarks from Mr. Putin would not be taking as something, as a possibility to start negotiations by Ukrainian side.
And it's also interesting to see that the Turkish president is still working hard to ensure that peace comes to both countries. But in terms of the territory so far, what can you tell us about who controls what?
According to the head of to the Ukrainian chief, military chief, Mr. Zaluzhny, he confirmed that Ukrainian forces managed to liberate 40% of the occupied territory of the territories occupied since the full-scale invasion. So, in less than 1 year of this war, 40% of the territories are back under Ukrainian control. For the moment, what we can see that Russia still controls a part of the Kherson region, which is on the left bank of the Dnieper River, and basically this allows Russian forces to have this direct corridor to Crimea. Also, Russian forces have control of the part of the Zaporizhia region, of the part of the Donetsk region, and of the biggest part of the Luhansk region. But this is it. So basically, for the moment, we're talking about, we're mostly talking about these 4 territories. So there are some little piece of land in the Mykolaiv region, which is still under heavy fighting, and we cannot say that any of the sides control it. So it's like a gray zone. And there is also similar situation in the Kharkiv region where there are some territories very close to the border of Kharkiv region with Luhansk region or Donetsk region, where there is a gray zone. But still, if we look at the picture, at the wide picture of the front lines, there are four regions we're talking about, and I should say that. Of course, the main fighting is currently happening in Bakhmut, around Bakhmut, which is Donetsk region, and also around the city of Zaporizhia region, and Kherson region. And we see every day reports about very heavy fighting and very heavy shelling of the city of Zaporizhia and city of Kherson, because Russian forces have very close are kind of close, quite close to these cities, and they have possibility of artillery attacks on these cities.
And, looking at what we saw on New Year's midnight, on New Year's Day on a school, that strike, the school that was converted into the military quarters, Makivka, which appears to have angered Russian nationalists and lawmakers who, incidentally, are saying they are questioning Russia's military strategy. But on the other hand, is Kyiv celebrating this victory there?
Well, I cannot say that it is a celebration, but it is definitely a very big success, military success by Ukrainian forces. And also Ukrainian officials, military officials confirmed that they've been tracking this location and the movement of Russian forces around this location for some time. So it's definitely a great work of different departments under the Ministry of Defense and under other military institutions, Ukrainian institutions. So it's definitely a great success, but of course there is no it's no celebration. It's just understanding of the success. Of course, Ukrainians are happy with this success because this is this makes it closer to the final goal. So it's definitely a victory on the battlefield. And of course, we can see that Ukrainian forces have more control deep into the occupied territories, which is also a great sign for Ukrainians. And we also see that even deep inside Russia, Ukrainians already have certain control with, Ukrainian side never confirmed directly responsibility for these attacks deep into Russia, but Ukrainian officials said that this is basically the reason for these attacks is because of Russian aggression. So we can say that definitely something is going on deep inside Russia and deep inside occupied territories. So for Ukraine, is a great, of course, it's a great sign in terms of military battle and situation in the battlefield. And Ukrainian side, also Ukrainian officials still highlight that the main negotiation which is happening now which and something that will create in the future diplomatic possibility for diplomatic solution is happening at the battlefield.
And to also think that Russia said that its troops were using their mobile phone, and that's how, in their words, the enemy was able to penetrate and cause that. But on the other hand, Ukraine's military says more than 800 Russian soldiers were killed, mostly in the eastern Donetsk region. But then for Makivka, Russia is saying it's just 89. I mean, how do we reconcile the figures?
Well, according to Ukrainian official numbers, 800, it's not only Makivka, it's in general. So it was during that day that it was, I don't remember exactly that day, but I think it was something like 600 to 800, something like that, because today, for instance, official reports mention more than 800. In terms of Makivka, Ukrainian officials confirmed the number of over 400 Russian servicemen killed and wounded, I guess, but hundreds of killed. And Russia had to this is very interesting, of course, situation, because this is basically the first time when Russia had to confirm that this happened. And for the moment, according to the latest number, if I remember correctly, Russia confirmed 89 victims. But I should say that it looks like, at least according to also to other international intelligences and institutes for the study of war who were also commenting on this particular case, it looks like that Ukrainian official number it sounds more realistic. So it looks like there are hundreds actually of them, couple of hundreds. Again, Russian official answer was that the main reason was the mobile phones. Well, maybe this was one of the reasons as well, but I guess that more, we should consider also, intelligence work and satellite work of the Ukrainian forces for this particular attack.
And Anna, NATO today said that, Secretary General said he doesn't think President Putin has changed his mind or his plans and goals in Ukraine. So it is dangerous to underestimate Russia. What is the feeling in Kyiv as to how long this war might take?
Well, it is definitely not the right thing to underestimate Russia and President Putin, particularly because, of course, we see that, the decisions which are made and how they are made, it's something that Russian decisions cannot be really predicted, and of course Ukrainian both officials and society prepared for that. So there is no feeling in Ukraine that Ukraine is underestimating Russia or expecting some, miracle to happen, that the war would just finish or that Russia would just stop or something like that. Ukraine is getting ready for more counterattacks, counteroffensive actions. This was also confirmed recently by Ukrainian spy chief, Mr. Budanov. He mentioned in one of his interviews that actually Ukraine is preparing certain counteroffensive actions, big counteroffensive actions in spring this year. And also, but again, Ukrainian military officials, they do not confirm any, dates or any particular plans. They just confirm that the main basically military plan for Ukraine is continue to liberate its territories, and Ukrainians are not getting ready to any ceasefire or anything like this. Ukrainian forces would continue, to fulfill the task that they have from the chief commander, which is liberating of all Ukrainian territories. This is the mood inside the country.
And Anna, just before we let you go, to give an idea to our viewers of, the whole of Ukraine and, where the fighting is going on and what could be happening in other parts, is there any semblance of normalcy anywhere else in Ukraine?
Well, it's difficult to call this normalcy, because, of course, either you are in the west part of the country, which is the most far away from the battlefield, or in the central part. But even people, are trying to create this Christmas mood and have some Christmas celebrations and New Year's celebrations. But still, the feeling of war is in the air everywhere. So I cannot say that any part of the country, that there is any part of the country where you cannot feel war at all. So if we talk about Lviv or some western cities of Ukraine, still air raid sirens are going on time to time. When massive shelling is happening, the whole territory of Ukraine is under danger. So I think that Ukrainians, somehow got used at certain point to these new conditions and try to live normal life, like go to work, children go to education institutions. So everything is operating, all businesses are operating in Ukraine. And from this perspective, normal life is going on, but this normal life is going on the background of war, of constant danger, of constant risk. However, people just managed to combine probably this to new reality, like this new reality, and something which is left and was brought back from normal life, from normality.
Anna, we continue to appreciate your reporting. Thank you for joining us, and do stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, out of the unheated bomb shelters where they trained young Ukrainian circus acrobats, dazzled crowds and performed alongside international competitors in Hungary. Let's take a look.
Dressed in Ukrainian colors under bright lights, 13-year-old circus acrobat Maria Kravchenko dazzles an audience in Hungary. It's a much different setting than her home in Dnipro, where she practiced in unheated shelters while a war raged around her.
I was training it with air raid sirens, and it was hard.
Kravchenko is performing at Budapest's capital Circus along with young acrobats from Kharkiv, Kiev, Odessa and Donetsk as part of a Ukrainian youth circus festival to showcase their talent. The Ukrainian artists are between 6 and 17. They gave more than 30 performances alongside competitors from around the world. Peter Fiquet is the circus director. He says all regular programs were stopped for 2 days in January, and the keys to the circus were handed to the Ukrainians. Since these children train in air raid shelters by candlelight from morning to night, there must be a place where they can show their talent and knowledge. We must give them faith that it is worth doing the work. It is worth the training, so we stopped our regular programs for 2 days this January, and for 2 days we hand over the circus keys to our Ukrainian friends. In this war situation, we're struggling for their survival so that there is a goal to live for tomorrow, so that there is something that makes it worth going down again to the shelter and doing that daily dose of 50 push-ups. This is what we can provide some help for. Before the war, the Yevkarov Arena Dnipro International Children's Circus Festival was held every year in Dnipro.